So hot, yes. We almost... Hello everyone and welcome back to another season of Riverdale. So we got the recap show for you today. As you may notice, some things have changed. I will be discussing all that stuff revolving around the channel, any changes coming in a future video, but for today, we're focusing on the premiere of Riverdale. Now, to recap from last season, some loose plot-ins we got going on right now are, obviously the biggest one, Archie went to jail, being framed for murder by Riverdale's own Penguin. Hiram seems to be assembling a league of rogues, so it seems like Riverdale is borrowing quite a few things from Batman at the end of last season. Now, I don't know what that means for the future and where we're going this season, but based on the trailers, if any of you guys have watched, it seems like there might be a little bit of some cult things coming in here. And as you know, the premiere of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina coming to Netflix on October 22nd. Let me know down below if you guys would like to see me talk about that show. So we'll see what that means for Riverdale. Now, for now, they've said that there isn't going to be a crossover, but they hope for it in the future. And that they're trying to keep magic and Riverdale kind of separate at the moment. But things might change. They were actually considering for the season 1 cliffhanger to bring in Sabrina. As we know, that did not happen. And now here we are, and some more plot lines we got coming up. Hiram seems to be an evil mastermind. I guess that's what the mob teaches you. The rest of the characters, for the most part, seem to have been, from my recollection, in a pretty decent spot, besides the whole Archie thing. Black Hood was closed. Hal Cooper went to prison. And I guess I hope we get to see some of the repercussions, because it did end very, well, it ended twofold. It ended on the, there's a lot of crap coming our way, and then it also ended on everything's back to normal in Riverdale. I'm going to jump into the episode and I will see you guys after. Alright guys, so I have just finished the episode and I have a lot of words, but I also have no words because in true typical Riverdale fashion, the end always throws you for a bit of a loop. The one thing I have to say overall was this was peak Riverdale right here. This was peak Riverdale. I felt like there was a lot of, you know, comics related things, kind of throwbacks, like that kind of situation, but there was also a lot of really interesting things going on. One thing I really like in Riverdale is when they do bring in the side characters, because they are all really interesting and they do definitely help flesh out the world even more. That's my opinion on this, but I think episodes where there is a very strong supporting cast like this episode, there's just something more going on to the episode that makes it even better. Now, I have 4 pages of notes to go through, so let's get into it after that little summary. So we start off with our recap, and I forgot a lot of things, but once you watch that recap, you snap right back into it. So one of the things with Jughead asking Betty to be his serpent queen, because now apparently teenagers are leading other teenagers. It seems like all the adults are like, I'm tired of this. I'm not being in gangs. I'm not dealing with that. Besides Penny, who likes hanging around with teenagers. We'll get into her later. Now, there was the cult stuff as well. I'm just gonna refer to the farm as a cult. Betty says it and I agree, it does feel very cultish. I watch Wild Wild Country. I listen to podcasts about cults sometimes. I see the writings on the wall. Even if it's not necessarily a cult, there is something very, very fishy going on at the farm. What that is, we'll discuss. We got to catch up on what all the kids were doing over the summer. Veronica seemed to be working at Pop's. I'm assuming she was working on her speakeasy that we know is coming. Betty was doing an internship with the lawyers, former Mayor McCoy, and also Mary Andrews. It's always a joy to see Mary Andrews. I wish Molly Ringwald was a regular. I want her to be here all the time. Fingers crossed for second half of season 3 or season 4. I just think she works well on the show. And Archie having his pants around is really nice. And I do really like Fred and Mary together. Jughead, it seems, was just being a serpent leader, catching up on his writing, you know, calming down from all his like craziness last season. He was like, all right, I'm gonna chill out a little bit now. And I think we all needed that. And Archie has been in prison or out on bail. He's not been enjoying things, pretty much. They cut to the courthouse, and my first thought is, why is this To Kill a Mockingbird? They're all sitting there, they got their fans, they got whatnot, they're all just sitting there like, so hot, yes, we all must cool ourselves from all this tension. The lawyers are all really good. Mary did a really good job defending. It was a tough trial. I didn't expect it to so quickly be kind of finding out an answer. I thought the court drama would have been drawn out for a little bit longer going into this season, but I also think it worked out really well wrapping it up in one episode. Archie's court case being the first thing that happens, I think really sets in motion a lot of things. There was a lot of things being set in motion this episode, as a season premiere should do, and I really enjoyed that. So the jury gets sent into deliberations. Archie gets to go enjoy his Labor Day weekend with his friends and family, and that's where shenanigans start. They walk out of court, and one of the greatest things to ever grace our television screen by Riverdale happened, and that was Fred doing what we all wish we could do and just punching Hiram right in the face. It was just such a satisfying moment watching that smug jerk get what was coming to him. He got what was coming to him, fair and square. And I can't wait to watch the fall of Hiram, so cheers to that. So then we're at Pop's, because Pop's is the place to be. And it seems like Dilton and Ben, who's always been around forever, Ben, working at the Bijou, hanging out with fake chick last season, is there, and they're playing a game. It's kind of essentially Dungeons and Dragons, it looked like, but there, of course, in true Riverdale fashion, there's something more sinister lurking underneath. Ben's like, yo, Dilton, keep it quiet, but why? We don't exactly know. So then, you know, the core four goes on to enjoy their time hanging out, saying, you know what, we can work on this, Archie, we can do this, and Archie's like, no. I just want to enjoy myself, because I may be going to jail, so I want to enjoy myself. Of course Cheryl walks in, Cheryl Bombshell. She just has to always stir up some trouble. She was looking for it, and she just invites everyone to a pool party at Thornhill. And when it cuts to the party, I laughed really hard when they just show the burnt out house. And then all these teenagers are just hanging out by the pool that somebody took care of. Cheryl's got money. She don't care. She'll pay for it. But before that, we do get Betty going at home with her very creepy family, frankly. Alice is all into that hippie, holistic, listening to whatever the farm tells her because she don't know how to cope. I'm just gonna say it like that. And Polly essentially indoctrinated her. They're saying like, Betty, you don't listen to us, you need to do this, blah blah blah. They're going into all this stuff, and she's like, I'm just gonna go to my therapist appointment and do that. That's fine, that's me. You guys can do whatever you want to do on the farm. I'm gonna hang out and go to an actual doctor. We'll talk about it. So anytime Betty can, she finds a way out, and she goes next door, and I really loved this scene. It was Betty, Fred, and Archie all working on Archie's jalopy, and that is such peak. It's just so comics. Betty is always helping out Archie with his car, always working on his car, and I just really loved getting some of that in here. They were fixing the jalopy. Archie is like, Betty, I really need you to just, if I go, just check in on my dad, make sure he's okay. And you know, Betty and all his friends so far this episode, you know, Veronica's girlfriend and Jackie have all been like, you're not going to jail. It's not happening. We're not letting it happen. A lot of things felt very like kind of comic, Archie comics to me. And I really liked watching that. The pool party especially reminded me of the many numerous times they have had a pool party in Riverdale, and especially the red tents, because I feel like those are always there, whether they go to the beach or whatever. Those are always there. And then we also got to see a lot of other secondary characters. Dilton was hanging out there very creepily. Now Alice takes all of Betty's diaries, which, invasion of privacy. Like, if my mom started reading my diaries, I would not be keeping diaries because I don't want people reading my stuff. And Alice was like, we need to burn these. Edgar says. Edgar says. Edgar says. Edgar. Who cares what Edgar has to say? Who cares? Betty does not care what Edgar has to say. Now, I heard some things, especially from New York Comic Con and stuff, that Alice is going to take a particular interest in Mr. Edgar Evernever. That's a good name. That's a good alliteration name. I will give it up for that. And my first thought is, oh great, they're gonna screw. That's not gonna backfire at all. I have also seen a theory, and I would prefer this to be true, that Alice is going into the cult to, you know, write a big expose. We would all like that so much more, but I don't think that's what's gonna happen. Also, Polly needs to mind her business. Polly is coming up in here being like, oh, well, I know something about Betty. You don't. I'm gonna reveal all her secrets. Where did she get this knowledge? Since when does she know anything? Also, she wants to be a sassy pants. How many times has Betty saved her, helped her out, done something good for her? Polly has never shown up once for Betty. Show me a time. Show me a time. It hasn't happened. Alright, so the pool party. We get a snippet of Kevin and Moose, and Kevin goes, you know how in all those teen movies they have like sex packs and stuff? I think we should do that, but like at an accelerated pace, and I am confused to the nature of their relationship at this point. We know based on the season 3 trailer that they're gonna be making out, but is Moose ready to move on after his girlfriend literally died in a stage production maybe a couple months ago? Maybe. I don't know. But Kevin, you deserve nice things, and I will not root against you for that. Then we get a little scene with Archie and Reggie, and I really like Reggie personally. And Archie was just saying, you know, you gotta step up for the Bulldogs. Reggie's like, bro, I'm captain, bro. I got this. And he's like, no, you need to like keep the peace between us teenagers in the school because there are like way worse things going on. And Reggie's just like, dude, I don't care. We can hang out. It's all chill. I don't want to deal with all that stuff. And I think that's all, you know, the role we need to take on this. I don't want to deal, we don't need that. We're just going to be chill and relax and have a good time. Then we get a little scene with Tony and Cheryl. She calls her TT, and that was the cutest thing I ever seen in my life. I thought it was really nice that Cheryl was like, I can't do anything to help with this, because Archie saved her before, and Archie has really been there for Cheryl before. So it was really nice to see her want to help, and I think in the future, I think we could see her team up with, you know, Jughead and Betty and Veronica to try and help Archie out. I think that would be cool. Of course Tony will come along, because it seems like her and Cheryl are inseparable, and that's kind of adorable. Also to note, they went on a cross-country motorcycle trip. Who took care of Nana Rose then? Does nobody think of Nana Rose? But also, who got the motorcycles? Questions I don't care about. Somebody write the fanfic. Then we get the best subplot of the episode, and that is the Ghoulies have kidnapped Hot Dog. This was the silliness from Riverdale that I love. And the Serpents decide to go on a heist mission to rescue Hot Dog, and I thought that was just the cutest thing in the world. So at the pool party, Serpents go have a little meeting to be like, okay, we have to get the dog back. What are we gonna do? Previously, Jughead had sent out some scouts to check in on the Ghoulies, because why wouldn't you keep tabs on the people that literally tried to murder you? Just saying. And they realized that they have taken Hot Dog, and they all gather around, and Betty's like, oh, I'm coming. Of course I'm coming. I am the Serpent Queen. I'm going to be on the front line. Jughead's trying to protect her, and she's like, I'm coming. Alright. That was the end of that discussion. There's just a bunch of drama about the dog. Because, of course, it was a ploy. And the floodlights come on and they're like, hey Jughead, what you doing here? We knew we could lure you here. You're not on the south side anymore. Why do you have that jacket? And then Cheryl, who looked very, very good in this scene, just pulls up her arrow and shoots Malachi through the shoulder. So I wonder who's gonna go explain that to the doctors at the hospital. I guess it doesn't matter, but then she's gonna kill Penny because Jughead said to. And Cheryl likes to raise hell. Cheryl just likes to raise hell. So that was entertaining seeing Penny get a little bit of the shit scared out of her. To see Penny get a little scared over there. And then essentially they leave with the dog and they're like, north side, we're coming for you. And I can't wait to revisit this plot in episode 10, because that's when I feel like this will come back around. Look, I gotta call out Riverdale sometimes. Okay, I love them, but I gotta call them out. Archie and Fred finish up the car, and Archie's ready to take it out. But first, before we can see him do that, we have to watch Polly and Alice confront Betty, and we find out that she's been forging prescriptions and made up her therapist because she's just been wanting that Adderall prescription because all she's been doing is working non-stop trying to help get Archie off because she really didn't want to think about her dad, which who can blame her at this point? And I will say that Polly and Alice do have a point that Betty hasn't confronted what happened with her dad yet. She hasn't confronted any of it and she's really been keeping it in, and that's not a good thing. Now, I don't think the solution is the farm and Edgar Evernever. I do not think that is the solution. I think the actual solution would be to see a real therapist who can actually help her and talk to her and let her not get involved in crazy stuff, hopefully. But they just want to be, come to the farm will help you, the farm. And when people are like saying that stuff about stuff, you know it's never good. A lot of times cults do start out actually helping people and they don't always have malicious intentions, but they end up turning. Something happens, something goes wrong, some kind of plan goes awry, and then the cult takes measures against that and they change. And it becomes a very dangerous situation until it escalates into something not so good. I don't know what point this farm is at now, but I feel like it's going to go down that route at some point. Betty needs help is what we learn at the end of that conversation. But before they can really confront any more, we hear some honking in the background, and we're just like, what is that? And then cut, they're all hanging out in the jalopy, and it's just perfect. It's perfect. It's a nice moment, they're all hanging out, 5 seconds of Summer's Youngblood is playing, and it's just like, this is the summer mood. This is summer 2018 mood, even though it's fallen out. Even though it's fallen out, that was the summer mood. They ride the jalopy to the creek and they all start stripping down and they're just having fun and they're jumping in the lake, and it's really just fun to see them all having a good time and enjoying themselves because they deserve to have that. I mean, the shit's gonna hit the fan soon enough, so they might as well enjoy all this stuff while they can. So we get a little montage of them hanging out, kissing, having fun, all that stuff, and then it cuts to like a little campfire scene. Archie's having this whole thing and he's making all his friends sit there and cry because he's saying he's guilty, and he's not guilty of killing this man, but he is guilty of getting wrapped up in some really bad things, and he really could have taken a turn for the worse. So I'm glad Archie's owning up to his stuff. You know, I think that's a really good thing that we're seeing here. Then we get a Buckhead scene. Yay! So they're sitting there talking, and Betty basically has come to the conclusion after the talk with her mother and her sister and having time to think about everything, that maybe she really does have a problem here. That maybe things aren't okay, and that, you know, she really hasn't dealt with anything. And I was just thinking in my head, yes! Character development. It was just really nice for her to kind of come to this point and realize, I have issues. There is something wrong going on here, and I think I do need to see an actual therapist and work those out. Because especially over the last 2 seasons, we've seen Betty deal with a lot of things, and she's never actually had any professional help to get over that. You know, first it was her mother self-medicating her. The very first episode of the show, her mother shoved a bottle of Adderall in her hand and was just like, all right, go on. you know, so that was pushing down things and pushing down things, and then the whole thing with her father and the Black Hood happened, and that's only, I'm sure, exacerbated things. So it'll be really good to see, hopefully we get to see her work through that in the future. But at the moment, she has Jughead comforting her, and he takes off his crown beanie, puts it on her head, and says, we're partners. We are partners in everything. Partners in crime, partners in solving crime, relationship, outside, whatever. I have your back, you have mine. That's what they are. And I thought that was really sweet, really beautiful, and really encapsulates why people love Bughead so much. Then, of course, because this is a teen drama, it devolves into makeouts and lovemaking by this lake. Would we expect anything less from Riverdale? No. And I was okay with that. So then we cut to Archie and Ronnie, and they're laying there talking about things, what's going to happen after, and Archie's like, I don't want you visiting me, and he's essentially trying to break up with her, and Veronica's not having none of it. No. She's just like, nope, I'm coming to visit you like all the other prison widows on the bus. That's that. She's like, end of discussion, I am sticking with you. And that also shows why people love Archie so much and why they work so well together. Veronica is ride or die. They just work really well together, and I'm really glad that there's not this love triangle going on in the show, and they're really letting these couples just flourish now. And I think that's what they realized over season 2, is that this is what people love so much about Riverdale. And we cut to going back to court, and I just wrote down, I know he's going to jail, but this is still gonna hurt. Now, after all that happiness, it's the end of summer, and you kind of get, you know that feeling you have when you would go back to school and you'd be like, this is it, this is the end, this is the last night before we go back. That's what I felt like watching as they were going back into the courtroom the next day, and after they were having all those scenes at the lake, feeling like this is it. Now, before we can get straight back to court, though, there is a little scene where Dilton shows up at the Jones household. And my first thought was, wait, is someone new playing Dilton? I'm not 100% sure. But something seemed off. He just seemed like he was dressing different and maybe acting different. And we guess that that is the influence of the Gargoyle King in this game. He mentions the Gargoyle King, and Jughead's like, okay, wait, just hang out here, because he's talking some crazy nonsense about he's real, and all this stuff. And Dilton knows Jughead's the guy to go to when there's some drama going down, because he will investigate and figure it out. One of the most surprising things was, I thought they were just going to convict Archie. I really thought that was going to happen, and they were just going to send him to prison, and that was going to be it, and that was going to be the, you know, the twist. But I was very surprised when it was a deadlock jury, because I really wasn't expecting that to happen. And then the judge offered him, the DA offered him a reduced sentence of 2 years and pleading to manslaughter. And Archie, not wanting to put his family through this again, just agrees to take it without listening to counsel, without, like, giving him time to think it over, which I think they should have done, especially because he was a minor. Archie takes it, and then he's taken away in handcuffs immediately to go serve 2 years in juvie. Now, unexpected, I really thought he was going to go to, like, adult legit prison, but juvie's not great either. Juvie's not great either. But as we know, Core 4 is going to fight for him. They're going to try and get him out, and I can't wait to see that, and I can't wait to see how it's going to play out. How long is Archie going to be in juvie? Is he going to be there for at least a couple episodes, which I feel like they kind of have to do at this point. I just wrote, boy, that was stupid. I was drag Archie. I really liked the use of silence, though, like as he was getting pulled out, like it was pretty quiet in the courtroom, and you just cut to different people, and the only thing you actually hear being said is Archie going, I love you, to Veronica. And then Betty runs to her to comfort her friend, and that was all really cute and sweet. Then we cut back to the Andrews house. They just look so sad. The poor dog. There was a lot of dogs in this episode, and I think Riverdale should keep up with this trend. We really just need to see more dogs. Mary's packing up to go back home, and I was just like, Mary, don't go, stay, please. But we do know that she'll be back. I mean, how could she not be? Especially because coming in the future, if you guys don't know, spoiler, there's going to be a flashback episode of the parents when they were in high school. Very exciting stuff. As Mary's leaving, we pan back and we see the Hot Dad crew, the Dilfs of Riverdale, and it's made up of So we got FP, we got Sheriff Tom Keller, and we got Fred, and they are going to hunt Hiram down and prove him wrong. What is Keller's position right now? Is he still in the police force, but he's not a sheriff? Because Minetta is apparently still the sheriff right now and still under Hiram's thumb. So that's some implications coming for the future, and I'm really interested to see how that goes, because that's going to be a little twisty. But I'm excited to see what the dads are going to do, how they're going to help Archie out. Will they team up with the kids? Will they be working separate? Obviously, they all know Hiram from when they were in high school together, so I feel like that adds another layer of things to this situation. Then we see the Lodges coming home from the court case, and it turns out Hiram wasn't even really that mad about Archie betraying him. I mean, he was mad, but he literally orchestrated all of this because Veronica disobeyed him and like chose Archie over the family, and he was so pissy that he's like, I'm gonna punish you and send your boyfriend to prison. That's some hardcore crap right there, guys. Also, it was a revelation, and then I was like, oh, this is so perfectly dirty Hiram. And I kind of love the twist. Veronica is ready to cut him down, and I'm ready to see how she does that and how that goes. Because I don't know how long they can drag out this Hiram stuff. He was the impending bad guy from season 1. Like, they were teetering with it all season. Like, what was Hiram gonna do? Is he really a bad guy? Is he gonna come back and be different? Like, what's gonna happen? And then season 2 fully proved that he is an evil jerk and deserved to be punched. And deserves to be punched more times. Now, I don't know how long they're gonna drag his character out. Like, is he gonna make it through this season? Will he continue on in season 4? And I guess that all depends on how the rest of this season plays out. So I'm excited to kind of dig in and find out where Hiram's gonna go from here, and to delve more into his plans, because obviously he has big plans. One of the interesting things that we did also find out in this episode is about Hermione when she caught Veronica trying to tamper with the jury. Well, after Sheriff Minetta did and called Hermione, she was saying that Hiram would never hurt Veronica, not physically, well, he did hurt her intentionally, but he would never hurt Veronica physically. But Hermione doesn't have that luxury because she's just his wife. And if she betrayed him, he could easily figure out a way to kill her, or have someone else kill her. And that's terrifying. But I really love that Hermione got a chance to say, I am a prisoner, but I am not on his side. And I can't wait for her to kind of free herself and go forward. Now, I did say before how much I loved Fred and Mary, but I did also enjoy Fred and Hermione in the first season. And if there's going to be a love triangle, that is the love triangle I am here for. Now, at the end of that scene where Hiram tells her that she sent Archie off, she was basically like, you ain't my daddy. She disowned him. She disowned him. And she's gonna do everything in her power to screw him over from now on. And I can't. We get some tall snack Jughead coming in, and Dalton's gone. But there's a map. And Jughead, being the smart cookie he is, quickly figures out where the heck the map is leading to. And there's all these weird symbols on it, and I'm sure these will all come to play in future episodes, kind of decoding what these are. And that's Betty's gig, as we know. She loved the codes in the Nancy Drew handbook. So I think it'll be really interesting, and I'm sure they're going to have to kind of dive into this game and kind of find out what's going on with that in order to kind of figure out what just happened, because some more big plot is coming in. Jughead goes and finds this thing, and it's Ben and Dalton like laid out in this like prayer, sacrificey position. They have things carved into their back, like these same symbols, and there's the like little, I guess, Gargoyle King statue there, and they're like praying to it, and there's also blue liquid, and my first thought was, is this Heather's and did they drink antifreeze? Because that's terrible. And it seemed like Dalton is not going to make it through this, but Ben is, because Ben threw up. And it seems like he got it out of his system, maybe. So it'll be really interesting to see what this cause is. Like, who did this? Why did they do this? Is this all part of the game? My thought about this, you know, the game, is it connected with the farm in any way? Because the farm is a very creepy kind of thing, too. So it'll be interesting to see if those connect, how they connect, and we'll see more going forward. Because right now I don't have any theories on who that is, and who the Gargoyle Knight or King is. Then we cut to Archie on the juvie bus. He's going to get locked up, and we'll pick up with him next episode, surely. Then we cut back to Betty. So Betty's like coming downstairs, and my first thought is, oh my god, she's gonna get kidnapped. They're gonna kidnap her and bring her to the farm. That's immediately what my thought was. But she ends up going outside, and she sees that the bassinets for the babies are empty. And then we go outside, and we see Alice and Polly holding these babies over the fire like it's the Lion King. And then what I can't tell here is if what was happening was really happening, or if Betty was having some kind of like overdose or some kind of allergic reaction to something, and she just thought she saw this thing, or if this was really happening, and that was the babies levitating. What the hell? What the hell? My first thought was, I thought this wasn't supposed to cross over with Sabrina. Is this magic? Is this demons? Are they worshiping Satan? What is happening? Also, why would you hold a baby over a fire? That's not a good idea. So Betty sees the babies literally levitate, and once again, we don't know if they were actually levitating or if she was just seeing this, but Betty promptly passes out onto the floor and starts convulsing. That's what made me think maybe she was having some kind of allergic reaction, or they drugged her, or some kind of something happened to her to make her either see those things, or was she just doing that or was she just doing that as a reaction to what she was seeing? So I'm really just like baffled and wanting to know what's going to happen next episode regarding that stuff. At least it's good to know Alice still cares about her, even if she's being manipulated by a crazy cult. If she ran over so quick, I really hope those babies did not fall into the fire. I feel like we would have seen that, but that would have been terrible. This is another wild ride in Riverdale, folks, and I just don't know what's going to happen next. So I'm excited to see if we're going to take a little bit of a dive into the paranormal this season, or if we really are staying on a kind of straight and narrow and not a cult in this season. It's going to be fun watching all these plot threads connect and come together and cross over, and whatever else is going to come our way this season. This really renewed, like, my love for Riverdale, and I really enjoyed watching this episode, and I did think it was a really great start to the season. It set everything up, it gave us a couple plot lines to follow, it threw a couple twists our way, and I'm just ready for next week. And for Veronica in a blonde wig. That's an interesting change. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know any predictions you have, any things you want to see, any things you guys want to see from me. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been great watching with you. Give this a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want, and peace.